The coaching carousel continues to spin, and boy, oh boy, did the biggest name on the market just hit it. It's time for another edition of Martin and Monaco. The end of an era, Alex. The end of an era in the AFC North. Mike Tomlin steps down from the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers after losing in really bad fashion to the Houston Texans. It was an ugly, ugly loss. We both picked the Texans to lose that game. We thought the Steelers had a real shot to win it. They did not, and now they don't have a head coach.
Yeah, Martin, welcome into a fresh off an L. All-time L for me. My FanDuel's looking a little lighter in the futures department this morning. Cleaned up, if you will. Spring cleaning in the middle of a freezing New York day. I digress. Hard to believe 24 hours ago I was a believer in a Tomlin-Rodgers duo, and now they're both in Cancun. But here we are. Obviously, Tomlin and a classy organization like Pittsburgh is going to do mutual ways thing. We talked off air with our producer Ian as well right before this. They have his rights, so that'll be interesting because there's 3 vacancies, including Pittsburgh in division open. There's 9 total we talked him out. I'll throw it back to you. So many appetizing landing spots for a guy like Tomlin. There's a lot of coaches. There's a lot of openings. Where do you think Tomlin, if he had his pick, would want to go here just fresh off the news?
If he had his pick, golly, that's the hardest thing to consider, right? Because he's just been, I don't think of anything besides the Pittsburgh Steelers when I think of Mike Tomlin, right? You mean if he had his pick, he probably coached to pick Pittsburgh, because where else would he go? But I understand the point of the question. I honestly think that he's going to join me at a FS1 soon. Like, I think that he will be a Fox. Jimmy Johnson has not been replaced on the Fox NFL Sunday set. I expect to see Mike Tomlin sitting there for the next 17 weeks of NFL regular season football. And then after that, very much like a Sean Payton path, get in with good ownership, get in where a place where you're going to have real control over everything. Because a lot of these places that are open now, they're open for a reason, right? Denver, when you remember when Sean got Denver, it was new ownership and it was a whole new situation. I think that's the type of thing Tomlin will be looking to land in.
Well, let me just talk this out with you, because I would just push back and say right now, with particular timing in a place like even, let's say, the Raiders, Tom Brady makes a phone call to Tomlin, goes, hey, we're going to get Mendoza. Again, manners-wise, Kirk Cousins, talent-wise,
Sure.
they're calling an Andrew Luck comp, but we'll see. Point being is, talk of the town, first overall. Go to a place like Vegas. Doesn't even need to take off the aviators, Martin. Just slips right in as a leader as far as culture. Because, again, there's places that are dying for his ability to create culture. And there's also some appetizing top dollar places, New York being one. I'd even throw Miami in the mix there. But, I mean, don't fault him for going TV.
I think Miami is a real possibility. Right, I think if I'm one of the either one, Harbaugh or Tomlin, they both to me skyrocket up the rankings of what I like this guy to reestablish my franchise. Right, it just seems to me, for whatever reason, that Mike Tomlin would want to take a step away. I don't know why he doesn't feel that way for John Harbaugh. I fully expect John Harbaugh to take the Giants job, and I fully expect him to be like full big blue as soon as he hits the scene, right? Very much like Ben Johnson was like, who are the Detroit Lions? I've never heard of them once he got to this Bears job, right? I see that with John Harbaugh. For whatever reason, with Mike Tomlin, I just see a guy who feels like he just wants to take a second. I wouldn't be shocked to see him take a second. And maybe it's because he was fired. Maybe it's because John Harbaugh was fired. Mike Tomlin stepped down, right? There's a very different. That's very, very different.
Very true. Now, just from a sports talk radio standpoint, if you were to swap Harbaugh and Tomlin, without question, Martin, Harbaugh would have a more challenging time in Pittsburgh that I feel Tomlin would slipping into the Ravens flock with Lamar Jackson at quarterback. And on some level, it almost works. Did you guys see? Feel free, and if you saw it, to chime in. The owner of the Ravens, he cursed. He goes, "Holy, isn't that interesting?" Come on, man.
I can't imagine. They're not going to do that. Because he
But,
kind of even said in the moment, it's like, oh, if John takes the Pittsburgh job, then I'll consider hiring Mike Tomlin for the Baltimore job.
I mean, but
I
on
would,
so many levels, it works for the Ravens. Unless they really want to go young offensive, a Kubiak style, whatever the hot young name is out there from an offensive mind standpoint, which you can't fault them for. And if that's like a Lamar request, maybe that's what they do. I mean, wild card would be like a Mike McDaniel off the top of my head. But culture-wise, they're a culture team, Martin. They're a culture team. It's like they wouldn't change that much, but they would get just like, how would you say it? Almost like an uptick in, I feel, aura. Because I put Tom a little higher than Harbaugh in aura.
Sure. I mean, absolutely. But I just think ultimately, when you got a guy that stepped down like that, a guy that has bumped his head in the postseason so many times in a row, I just feel like he might need a break from the grind of it all. To your point, Tomlin definitely has a higher status, or like when he walks in the room and feels like everybody turns and listens, because Mike Tomlin talks like a month of the day, or in a word of the day calendar, right? Like you're into everything he's saying when he's saying it. But how about this? How about at the end of the day in the AFC North, Zach Taylor's the one with the job.
Surreal.
That's crazy. That Zach Taylor is the one with the job. And I would have told you, sure, things were ugly in Baltimore a little bit. Things were ugly in Pittsburgh. But Cincinnati was the biggest disaster of them all.
Yeah, no doubt.
When you consider expectations and then result, back-to-back years,
no
Zach
question.
Taylor is sitting up like, wow, I can't believe I still have a job.
Yeah. It's interesting. If Tomlin goes TV, then Harbaugh is still the first domino. If Tomlin's in the race, before we move on here, does he go first, or is it Harbaugh? Because from a dollar standpoint, I mean, you see what Harbaugh's asking for, the kitchen sink. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all unfolds with so many vacancies and a few interesting big names, including this guy, this legendary Steelers coach, as the chapter closes here in Pittsburgh.
So this is a question you got to ask, I think, is you're looking around at these 9 openings, 9 head coaching openings. Some of them also have GM openings, but some of them still have structure in place. And you also have very successful teams recently who kind of bumped their head a bit this year, and with offensive coordinator holes. The Lions, now the Eagles with Kevin Patullo. The Commanders had one a minute ago, and they filled it with David Blau. I wonder if I'm a Mike McDaniel, I saw how head coaching was. It was hard. I didn't like it. I was responsible for everything. Why don't I just I would not be surprised to see some of these head coaching candidates take offensive coordinator jobs just to win, right? Like if you're in Philly, it is shown that if you can call plays that have some success, Shane Steichen, Kellen Moore, you will win. You will be successful at that place if you can manage the quarterback, right? And so, like, or in Detroit, if you can get the offensive line together, you will score 40 points a game with their personnel, as opposed to trying to go to Arizona and rebuild everything around Trey McBride.
Absolutely. It's even a thought, too, for some of these guys like Gannon out of Arizona, who I think's again going to go back to a DC role and probably give him an uptick because he's very good at that side of the football. Being a leader and being a culture setter is a whole nother thing. I mean, to your thought, McDaniel has a couple of very interesting opportunities. It's going to be interesting to see Kingsbury where it all. I mean, what's his situation? Is he in the mix here as well as a free agent? I mean, who are the hot coordinator roles that
I mean,
also?
I think I think he's got to be, but like he's got to be. He doesn't step down. Like to me, it was a mutual parting of the ways with Cliff Kingsbury in Washington. I feel like he's doing that because they either had somebody else that wanted that job and they wanted to give that job to, or he had something else coming up down the pipe where he wanted to get out of there. So
Now,
I assume is that would be the factor there.
yeah. Do you think now I think Buffalo, I'm a Buffalo believer because I'm an Allen believer this run, but even if let's just say they come up short in some regard, like even if they got to the Super Bowl and lost, if McDermott goes, is that the number one job in the market?
The way I would look at it first ownership, then quarterback. And so it would be high up there. It would, but I do think that Josh, his best days are not behind him. However, you do have to question how long he'll be able to play at this level with his style of play. But in my head coaching lifestyle, which would be what I'm planning for the next 2 years or 3 years, because
Right.
probably if I'm lucky, I'll get to coach 40 games. Right? You know what I'm saying? If things aren't going well, yeah, I'll take Josh Allen for my first 40. Look what it did
All
for Matt
right.
LaFleur. Look what having a Hall of Fame quarterback did for Matt LaFleur in the first half of his career thus far. Because the boy right now is in contract negotiations, trying to see if they're going to extend him. Half of his league just got fired, so there's plenty of openings around. And so he got a little bit of a higher cachet, I'd imagine, than he would if there was only 2 or 3 or 4 jobs available. But ultimately, the other thing is he's only won one playoff game without Aaron Rodgers, right? And I
Fair.
get it. And Aaron Rodgers just made the playoffs for the first time again in like 4 years, right? So outside, it's been a lot of one and done. And if they hadn't expanded the postseason after during COVID, then he would have no postseason appearances because he's always been the seventh seed. It is the Green Bay special, that seventh seed slot, very much like the Atlanta Hawks and the Chicago Bulls dominate the Eastern Conference play-in every single year, right? So I think you got to wonder with the Matt LaFleur thing, if I'm the Packers, I'm bringing him back, but I'm bringing him back on some type of like, you need to look, we have got structural issues. Every year, this team can't find a kicker. Every year, we seem to lack on defense. And you know what? The number one thing I think is the biggest issue with the Packers? They don't convert short yardage very well. They throw the ball 40 yards on 3rd and 1 more than any team I've ever seen in the NFL. And it just drives me insane because it's just like, go get the yards you need and then do whatever you need to do, Mr. Offensive Genius. So his haircut still intact. I think he stays in Green Bay. What would you do if you were Matt LaFleur?
I mean, Matt LaFleur is going to probably want to stay. I think Green Bay's more of like a Pittsburgh culture. They're not quick to be emotional and move off. I don't see him going anywhere. I mean, again, if they look at the game, like, yeah, I think there was some bad play calling. I rewatched it again because it was one of those games like, how the heck did Green Bay do it? I mean, they got that touchdown back with Golden. They were really defensively more to blame, which is not his side of the ball. And then you also think about what McManus did, and that's a guy that probably needs to go because he doesn't have a Mason Crosby cachet and background there. Someone has to take, repercussions for what happened. I don't know that it's LaFleur. I think he's happy to stay. I think, Green Bay again is probably going to stay culture ultimately. And, not to give him outs, but your best defensive player's out. A couple other guys banged up. Kraft not in the mix. You take Kraft and Parsons out of it on a road divisional game. It's more about the historic loss. But the Bears are magical, man. I know we're talking out some other parts of the NFC as well here. The Sirianni element to the Niners situation. What side were you on for that game? Remind me, because I was a
San
believer in
Francisco.
I was a believer in Jalen Hurts at home. Wrong only a couple of times this weekend. That was one of them. My Pennsylvania Bowl is shot. And
Yeah.
Philly looked terrible. Your thoughts on all things Sirianni and the whole game?
Yeah, the Eagles, the playoffs to me expose what have always been true about you, right? So like the Eagles offense was never getting fixed. It was never going to work. Like, and the reality of the situation is Nick Sirianni has he has gotten a lot of benefit out of his coordinators thus far in his career. Now, you can question how much of an input he has on actually hiring those people. Saying that Howie Roseman's and Jeff Lurie seem like they do a lot of that type of stuff, whereas like in San Francisco, like Kyle Shanahan is hiring his assistants. You know what I mean? Like that, like
Right.
he's doing it as opposed to the front office and the whole deal. But Nick Sirianni is really getting to that. What is it that you say that you do here category? Because you are your offense is completely and totally dependent on who is your play caller, right?
Well,
The
Martin,
the the
you called this OC out early over the summer. I will give you credit for that, even before the season rolled out. Did you know the backstory that that's Sirianni's boy and he really isn't qualified?
well, he's
Because
been
I
the
didn't know
quarterback
that.
coach for a while, but yeah, I knew that he had been promoted from within. His resume wasn't terribly impressive, but also too, this is a team that just went to the Super Bowl, bro. Like how are you hiring somebody like anyway? I don't want to even get into all that because he's now fired. Now Kevin Patullo has lost his job, but to me, that's the difference between like Nick Sirianni, like Dan Campbell took over play calling when he realized he made a mistake at his offensive coordinator position, right? Like Nick Sirianni just continued to let it fester and let it go and let it go and let it go to the point where in the last game of the season, he and his wide receiver are arguing with each other on the sideline. And then instead of like, because feel free, please, arguing is not the biggest issue. I don't have a problem with it in theory. However, when you're then knocked out of the game, like locked out mentally, like the whole point, like when Andy Reid chest bumped Travis Kelce and told him to shut up and go get back in the game, he's like, lock in. Do you know what I mean? Like
Right.
there's a level of respect there between those two. There's a level of respect there between a lot of coaches and players. There's no level of respect there between AJ Brown does not respect him, which is why he doesn't listen to him, which is
I
why he
mean,
doesn't care.
doesn't like culture, which is Harbaugh and Tomlin, make perfect sense in a place like Philly where there's a ton of talent and a guy that can't, I mean, again, I'm Italian. I'm joking all the time that he's just Italian over there, but it's like the whole make it about me thing, go run and yell at AJ Brown. Like, we're just like, he doesn't do anything X's and O's wise. And is he that great of a leader of this particular group? His decision making for coordinating, outsourcing, and resourcing is to be questioned. And body language wise, holy heck, man. Some of the worst body language we've seen from a championship Super Bowl team. I don't know if that's a
It's one of the
Philly
worst.
thing. Like, it was
No,
bad vibes, man. They had no joy this year. And you can't blame the Madden curse, my friend.
no, it's one of the worst defenses of a Super Bowl that you will see in your life. It's one of the more
It's not really
lackluster.
being talked about when you say it like that. It's a good point.
It's one of the more
Can I jump in here
lackluster
for a sec,
ones.
guys?
Go for it.
The part of the thing with him yelling at AJ Brown on the sideline is it was actually a completely valid reason for him to be yelling at him. It was because AJ Brown, he needed to get him off the field because they were going to punt or something like that. But the fact that AJ Brown felt comfortable to then yell back at him when he was getting yelled at for something that was completely valid. Like, he just took issue with the fact that Sirianni was yelling at him, so he got back in his face. He didn't even know what he was getting yelled at for at first. It seemed like he's just, don't yell at me. Like, he just doesn't respect him, and that's the point. But I
But
just want to ask you guys, if Sirianni were to get fired, like, I don't think he will here, but if he were completely hypothetical, where would he rank among the candidates right now? Like, I'm not even convinced he would be brought in for an interview at all of the openings. At least one or two, but I don't know
No,
that he's
he's
a
gonna
shoo-in to
pull
just get brought in.
Kevin Patullo and call a guy and be a friend. He's gonna get a friend to hire him. Demoted twice, not OC. Maybe like on a quarterbacks coach, whatever the heck. I don't something like that, right? I mean, I don't know. Point is, no job, no phone calls, no job.
I
Those two
think he
for
would
you.
get some phone calls. I would not personally want Nick Sirianni to be my head coach, but dude, just the raw win loss numbers are really hard to argue. Like when you're if you're trying to tell me I got to sell my
Well,
my
can I
fan
ask
base
you though?
on
Can I ask you? Is it Jalen Hurt? This is the Tom Brady, not Tom. This is not the Tom Brady Belichick thing, but this is just is the coach getting the wins, or is the quarterback a leader and an unbelievable game manager and an unbelievable Howie Roseman job? It's just like Sirianni's been carried by assets, unbelievable management, and unbelievable timing to come in here. in an otherwise place that wins but doesn't win rings. So it's hard to argue there. But like these moments of crises where leadership and situational coaching is imminent and he just doesn't have it in either. Doesn't have it on emotion, it seems, anymore, Martin. Last year, it seems like, all right, he's crying, like, it's like, all right, like you can make the case because they're winning. This works. When they're not winning and you just stare at him, you're like, dude, what? Like, let's go get, if John Harbaugh was the coach of the Philadelphia Eagles this year, they're playing this weekend. End of story.
So my thing is this. Okay, yeah, if you're comparing him to Harbaugh, to the Tomlins, sure,
Well,
absolutely,
they're out there.
100%.
It's like they should make a quick house
Right,
call.
but there's 9
call.
spots, and those are 2 people. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's 9 spots, and those are 2 people. Like, the Arizona Cardinals will probably call Nick Sirianni because he'd be the best coach that they have had in the last 25 years. Right? You know what I'm saying? Since they went to the Super Bowl.
Is he a great coach, or has he been carried by good coordinators?
Guys,
once the coordinators go away,
we were having this debate last night when we were recording the I Want Your Flex podcast at Fox Sports Radio. And I was kind of dying on this hill with you, Alex, that I don't think I would bring him in for any sort of an interview.
Dude,
but Mike and Dan were pushing back
call,
hard,
dude.
And
maybe
you know what finally swayed me a little bit though? Even Jason Garrett got a call from the Tennessee Titans.
I guarantee you.
A guy who just won a Super Bowl,
you want to know the difference between Jason Garrett and Sirianni? Sirianni is an antics dude, and he's not good enough to get away with the antics. He's not, to quote your boss, Colin, quarterback heel at all, dude. At all.
All of that is true. He's got a win-loss record in the first 6 years of his career that is like third only to Vince Lombardi and George Halas. I'm not saying that it's right and it's fair, but what I am saying is if I'm trying to sell my fan base on, I could have Mike McDaniel, who is a career 500 head coach. I could have Kevin Stefanski, who is a career 375 head coach, or I could have Nick Sirianni, who is in the top 10 winning percentage all time. That's an easier sell than the other 2. I'm not saying that he should get the job. I'm not saying I will call him in for an interview. All I'm saying is this. If FanDuel gave me the option, Nick Sirianni, yes or no, will he get interviews? I am taking a loan out and betting on yes.
Well, Kalshi might have that action, my man. Go take a look.
Good point.
All right, Martin, let's talk some divisional round Saturday, Sunday. Arguably the best playoff weekend. Some people like this one more than wild card. I like wild card weekend a little more, but obviously get the 1 seeds, Seattle and Denver respectively. Denver will start chronologically here. Kick off the playoffs hosting Josh Allen. It's a 1.5 point line. At the moment, pending where you shop, Denver is laying the 1 point. Josh Allen put the cape on. Unbelievable road win. Last week's narrative, not this week's narrative, my man. Owen, something? Never won a road game under Allen. 33 years for the Bills organization. All that's gone. They go to Denver, though. Tough place to play. Best player versus best defense. What say you?
I'm taking best defense, man. I know I went with the same strategy last week, and taking the Jaguars over the Bills. However, the issue is that best defense wasn't the unit that could take the field last for Jacksonville, right? They had to score the points. And Josh Allen, to his credit, it's like I said in our preview of that game, I picked the Jaguars to win. They're the much better team. Josh Allen's the best player on the field by far, and he might just have a 6-touchdown day. Now, he didn't do that. However, it was clear that he was the MVP of that team and the most valuable player. If the other things, you're just pointing out value as a pure value, right? Not standings, whatever. Josh Allen's your MVP. The team would be nowhere without him. But I say that to say, I think that I get the head coach advantage with Sean Payton by a mile.
I'll give you that.
I think I get the defensive advantage with Denver over Buffalo by a considerable margin. And offensively, I think the weapons, save for quarterback position, the weapons in Denver are a tick higher than the weapons in Buffalo. It's a lot of the same take that I had against Jacksonville. The difference between this one, I got a Hall of Fame head coach instead of a first-year guy.
You know what no
that
one's
I'm thinking.
no one's talking about is these two teams just played each other in the playoffs, my
Yes,
friend. And do
last year
you remember the box score? Because I'll read it to you, and
it was an
everybody on
annihilation.
Denver should be terrified. It was 31-7. Here's the thing with the Buffalo defensive narrative. They're in the last several years, plural, not a terrible defense that gets a terrible rap for not being able to stop the run, etc. If you just do the little things like they did against a similar comp to the Jacksonville scenario, which I'll sell you on. Trust issues with Lawrence, you should have the same thing with Bo because he's played with his food all year. You just can't get away with that in the playoffs. You can in the regular season. But second to that, this guy had a lackluster outing against a lot of pieces on this very team, and we're going to give that much credence to Denver's home playoff advantage. It is a tough place to play. You can sell me on the elevation, sure. It's not Jacksonville. There will be Bills Mafia in the building. It's not going to be 95-5. It might be 80-20, 85-15. But this is the year of the best player, my friend. I'm sorry. I am all in on Buffalo. My prediction was Rodgers hosting Buffalo. I'm rephrasing it. It's going to be an AFC East Sunday with Nance and Tony, my friend, in a week for the chance to go to the Super Bowl. I'm not confident in it if we're bouncing around here to the next AFC one as we keep it pushing. Unless you got any final thoughts on Denver and Buffalo. But I'm very confident that Josh Allen's going to win this game.
I mean, again, Josh Allen has the potential to do that, right? Like a shoot force point guard, he can just take over a game in that way. But I trust Sean Payton, and I need, not to say I
You
need, but
should.
it's
You
like,
should. I mean, he's won you a ring.
yeah, I trust Sean Payton to get this one done, especially after that 31-7 loss that they took a year ago. I definitely expect them to keep it closer than that, which is indicated by the betting line. I do agree with you, though. I think the other team from the AFC East will be waiting for them when they arrive at the AFC Championship game. Whoever wins this game, I'm looking at the Patriots to come out from the next one.
Yeah, talking that one out, we'll just stay AFC here before we bounce the NFC. Houston's getting 3 on the road. If you guys want a sweat-free winner, I'm kind of perplexed it's not the same line as the Rodgers versus this team. But the over-under is 41. Slam the under, folks. Texans +3 at New England. Do you think this game comes down to, again, coach quarterback, you lean Vrabel, you saw what you saw? In both regards, CJ Stroud trust issues on the road. And again, a defense that you're not going to see mistakes from New England that you saw with Rodgers giving away 14 freaking defensive points, my friend. But what do you think this
Yeah.
game comes down to on your New England thought?
This one, I think, really does boil down to the quarterbacks. Both of these teams won last week, but neither quarterback played particularly well. Like, they were able to really be masked by really a lackluster Charger experience in general.
Don't
Both
remind me,
Charger
my
and
friend.
Steeler experience.
11 wins to kick a field goal. Back to you.
Right. It was tough sledding for both of those teams, you could say. I mean, they didn't score 20 combined points in the wild card round. So when you consider that, I think that Drake May did not play well, and neither did CJ Stroud. But that center to quarterback exchange that went wrong. Not once, not two, not three, not four, but 5 times last night. 5 times last night in a playoff game? They're
Yeah.
not buttoned up, dude. They are not buttoned up. And give me Mike Vrabel and Josh McDaniel to game plan through this, to game plan through that really, really strong Houston defense, which a ton of great players. The scheme is kind of vanilla. I think they'll be able to maneuver it.
All right, let's go over the NFC. Let's go divisional round 3. The dap up for the script writers. They love to see it. The peanut gallery at it again. Darnold says, I'll see you, Brock, in a couple of weeks, Martin. Couple of weeks later, he sees him. 7, pending where you shop, 7.5 point San Francisco road underdogs They will have Trent Williams leading them out with the boombox and in the run game, my man. Are you emotionally rocking with what maybe is a Fred Warner return?
No
Or
way.
are you going to go with the Seahawks at home?
I wanted the Seahawks at home. That hook really bothers me. I think it's probably a touchdown margin, and so like I could easily see what 24-17 Seattle, and so like everybody on the 49ers wins the bet because they had the hook. This was what comes down to me. Seattle to me is the only team, and these words may age like milk in a hot car, but Seattle to me is the only team that can withstand their quarterback playing poorly. In fact, has dealt with their quarterback playing poorly and found ways to maintain and stay in those games. Right? They have a great field goal kicker, and that defense to me is incredible and complicated. Right? So like you're confusing guys, and they're physical. So when I look at Seattle, it comes down to one thing: Sam Darnold, obviously. But they have known, they went out and got him. They went out and signed him that 3-year, $100 million deal. I can't imagine that they're going to come out into this playoff game and put him in positions like they have done in the past, like he got put in the past with the Vikings and so on. And here's the craziest and sneaky part about all of this, and I'll leave you with this. If you look at Sam Darnold's last 2 years, he's got real issues with the Rams and Chris Shula. That was really it. Like, you go back to that Vikings game, the last game of the Vikings, he played with the Vikings, he played against the Rams. Played the Rams twice this year. Turned the ball over 7 times, right? In those 2 games. You look at the rest of everything else, it's not that bad. I think they manage him well and manage him on the way to at least a 7-point win.
You're praying for good management, my friend, because little Sammy Big Game Darnold's coming back, my man. I'm taking the Niners. Crank the boombox, Ian. Give me some producing off the mixing board. I got the Niners. It's tough to pack in a team 2 times in 3 weeks if you look at a little NBA with it and you just look at this coaching matchup. I did not look at that matchup. I miscalculated one game from a coaching perspective, and I missed severely on it. And it was Kyle Shanahan and Salah versus, and I'm going to go Mike McDonald, Kubiak, and his squad. And can I just say this before we move on to it? Darnold was a quarterback, a scout quarterback for this team. He did not have a good game against this defense 2 weeks ago. It was masked by an all-world performance in the Seattle defensive effort. If we're going to go 13-3 again, or it's going to be 1st to 20, like very similar couple of those games were this past weekend, I'm going San Francisco. Last thought, quick thought. Rams, Bears, home underdog Bears getting 3.5, 4, moving towards 3.5, though. Quick thoughts.
I think this is where the miracle runs out. The miracle at Midway runs out. I actually think
Chicago,
the Rams win this.
You're not feeling the air right now? Come on, baby.
Well, listen, I can't go 3 feet without somebody. Hey, you see the game on Sunday?
Come
you see the
on,
game Saturday?
man. Enjoy the
you see the game?
Midwestern pethiness. Let's go. We need it over here.
I think that I'll put it like this. I think the Rams are going to score 40 points.
Really?
I don't know what the Bears are going to do. I think the Rams are going to score 30 to 40 points. I expect Matthew Stafford to deal. And I know that people are talking about the weather and all of this and all of that and that Carolina game. Again, we look at the quarterback. We look at the coordinator matchups all the time. Look at who Matthew Stafford threw his interceptions to this year. Evero in Carolina, Raheem Morris in Atlanta. What do they have in common? Former Rams defensive staffers while Stafford was there, right? He had 8 interceptions on the year, I believe, 6 in those 3 games, okay? So for me, I'm looking at a team in the Bears that don't impact the quarterback. All they do is turn the ball over defensively. And I do not expect Matthew Stafford to throw them the ball, right? So that's kind of really the basis of it. I could see now. Then it comes up to how much can Caleb and them keep up, right? So it's like, but I think the Rams' offense is going to go nuts this weekend.
Yeah, no, it's a fair take. I'm emotionally on Chicago. I don't actually have the same conviction I do with some of the other games, but I'm kind of riding with the wild card Wizard team, man. They don't make sense. They haven't all year, but if we're going to go Ben Johnson on McVay, I had this thought earlier. I was talking to someone. This could be the best heavyweight coaching matchup for years to come here. And this is round one. And Benny J, because he doesn't have the same film on him as vice versa, comes in and out coaches McVay, Martin. And home field advantage is real. You're there. I mean, an unbelievable home field advantage. Stafford on the road in the playoffs is a 500 quarterback. He's not in a dome and cozy at this. If they get any pass rush, if they get any disruption, and Caleb get that magic going, they're never out, man. I mean, 21-6, you got to rewatch it to believe it. It's one of those fluky games. I'm going to go with the home team. All emotion, but I don't fault you for backing the Rams in a shootout.
I will say there's a few things that I think I kind of glossed over because of the way the games went, like the results went, like the fact, well, number one, that last night may have been Aaron Rodgers' last football game ever, right? That got glossed over. What also got glossed over was because of the way that the Jacksonville press conference was disseminated around the media circles, that the Jaguars completely blew it and choked, right? Completely blew it and choked in the second half of that game. And then the last one is Ben Johnson got way too cute calling plays against that Packers in that first 3 quarters of that game.
Correct.
And Caleb bailed him out a lot. And I'm wondering, it's not there yet, right? I'm not there yet with Ben, but his last playoff game in Detroit, he had Jamison Williams throw an interception. Okay? Right? Now, the first playoff game in Chicago, we're doing a lot of funny stuff. Like, we'll see.
You're right. He can't play with his food against this team like he can against LaFleur.
Can't do that.
You're absolutely right. Maybe he gets an uptick. But, yeah, that does it for us on the game breakdowns. Ian, back to you to wrap up with a game here.
Remember, just first thing that comes to mind, and you're trying to name the most common answer. First up, name an NFL team people would say surprised everyone this season. Yeah.
Bears.
Name something that might silence a home NFL crowd.
Missed field goal.
Who might someone say is the best running back in the NFL right now?
Bijan Robinson.
Name someone NFL fans tend to blame when their favorite team loses.
Head coach.
Name a quarterback drafted first overall in the past 10 years.
Trevor Lawrence.
All right, you're good. Okay, first, name an NFL team people would say surprised everyone this season.
The Chiefs.
Name something that might silence a home NFL crowd.
A touchdown.
Who might someone say is the best running back in the NFL right now?
Christian McCaffrey.
Name someone NFL fans tend to blame when their favorite team loses.
The quarterback.
Name a quarterback drafted first overall in the past 10 years.
Bryce Young.
All right. First off, I asked you guys name an NFL team people would say surprised everyone this season. Alex, you said the Bears, 30 points. Martin, you said the Chiefs, 32 points.
Oh,
bing! Both good answers. The number one answer was the Patriots, though.
Okay.
Next up, I asked you guys name something that might silence a home NFL crowd. Alex, you said missed field goal, 10 points. Martin, you said touchdown, 30 points.
what?
Number one answer.
Have you seen the Cody Parkey miss? I think not, dude. Who is scoring this, man?
Other ones were an interception / pick six, injury to a star player, or the refs overturning a big play.
Watch. They're just the two cute answers. Don't get rewarded. Look, Bijan and C-Mac. Guarantee you C-Mac's higher. Back to you.
Well, here we go. I asked you guys, who might someone say is the best running back in the NFL right now? Alex, you said Bijan Robinson, 24 points. That was the number one answer.
Oh,
Martin, you said Christian McCaffrey, 18 points.
how about that? A bunch of ball knowers in the chat. And I think Bijan's better than Christian McCaffrey, but I'm trying to pick
Well,
what
keyword
everybody
is
else-
right now. Like, if you're asking, like, right now, who's the best? Okay. Next up, I asked you guys, name someone NFL fans tend to blame when their favorite team loses. Alex, you said the coach,
That's right.
25
That's gotta
points.
be 30. 25.
25 points. Martin, you said the quarterback, 18 points.
The answer is the refs.
Number one answer was the refs. That would have been 40 points up for grabs.
A lot of people
And then
losing
last
money
one.
these days.
Last one, I said name a quarterback drafted first overall in the past 10 years. Alex, you said Trevor Lawrence, 28 points. Martin, you said Bryce Young, 12 points.
Did I come
So
back
I'm not
on
sure
the
who
last
won right
one?
now, but we're gonna we'll find out in the sofa clip who won.
We'll find
I
out
didn't do the
next
math.
episode on Peacock. Come on
That's
back.
ridiculous.